Thanks so much for joining us for an extra special Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so glad you're here with us this week. As we talk, the release party for Star of Light is going on. So when you're done listening to us, you need to scoot on over to the event if you haven't been there already and meet some of your favorite authors from the collections. But we're here to talk about the release this week of two Dragonblade collections. They're huge. They're 13 authors, I think, in each collection. They're great big holiday collections. We've got Star of Wonder and Star of Light. And today, to talk to us about the collections, we've got Meara Platt, CH Admirand, and Emily Royal. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to talk to us. So, Meara, can you start off and tell us a little bit about the book that's in the holiday collection?
Okay, sure. Well, mine is I'm in the Star of Wonder collection with CH, and so my story, the memo was pick a Christmas song or holiday song and write something inspired by it. So, you know, I don't write sad or angsty or anything like that. I write upbeat. So I chose Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas."
Oh, I love
And
that.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
which just worked beautifully because I have a story that's part of, like, I throw in Braden heroes, and these heroes are also connected to a Croft family, which is a spin-off. So I had a Rescued Heart that had just come out, which was a story of the hero was Peter Croft, and in that story there is a young boy, basically a street urchin type, but he's just a very earnest character called Perrin Marsh. And he was 9 years old at the time that story unfolded, and his father had passed away, so he was taking care of his mother, his sister, and his grandmother. And I used him a little bit as a counterpoint because as the hero was struggling to get back after the war, he came back damaged and just injured and just tormented. And as he was trying to recapture the strength in him, he sees this young boy who's hilarious. I mean, wisecracks just constantly come out of his mouth, and he's just going about doing whatever he needs to do to save his family, the women in his family. And so I fell in love with this character. So in this Star of Wonder collection, we jump ahead 18 years, and now 9-year-old Perrin Marsh is 27 years old, and he's made it. He's outgrown that street urchin, and now at the time, also in that story, in A Rescued Heart, when he met Peter's family, that was like the moment when Peter feels strong enough that the whole family is now reunited, and they all meet, and Perrin joins him, and Perrin's got a wisecrack for all of them, and he turns to Peter's sister, and he says, "Do you have any children?" And she said, "Yes, I have a baby girl called Aurora." So he said, "Well, if she's as beautiful as you, I'm going to marry her." And
oh, yay.
So sure enough, of course, and it's perfect. And all Perrin wants for Christmas is Aurora. So of course he's going to get her.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So you're in the Star of Wonder collection, and I think, CH, you're in the Star of Wonder collection too. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I was really excited when the call went out. And immediately, I know this sounds strange, but that's me. Holly and the Ivy just started playing in my head. And I'm like, okay, that's my Carol. This is what I'm going to write about. But I started thinking, usually people think of the crown of thorns and dealing with Christianity, but paganism had been around far longer than Christianity. So I decided, let's see what maybe it meant to the Celts. So they used to cut branches of holly and bring it inside for protection. And the ivy symbolizes fidelity and life eternal. So my character actually appeared in the Lords of Ice series. His name is Captain Gordon Coventry. and he was injured in the Battle of Trafalgar, which is like 10 years ago. I think it's 1805. And
it's not 10 years ago from today.
Lots of things are 10 years ago in my mind, but no, that would be like a lot longer. You know, if you asked me to do the math, oh God, I don't know my
A
calculator.
long time ago in 18.
A long time ago.
In a place far, far away.
Far away. My grandsons would be all over the Star Wars theme there. Anyway, sorry. I'm on deadline. My brain is really sorry. So my story is called A Promise Kept, a Love Unspoken. Back after the Battle of Trafalgar, when he was injured, before that, he had promised his friend, if anything ever happens to either of us, we'll take care of each other's families. And he made the promise to look out for Michael Thompson's wife and young son, who was 2 years old at the time. Fast forward, and he's injured in battle. Badly, he loses an eye and the use of one arm, but Michael gives the ultimate sacrifice for king and country. So Gordon recovers, and he's been taking care of Miranda and her son, but he falls in love with her along the way. But because he sees himself as half a man, because of his injuries, he doesn't believe he's worthy of her love. And she just never thought to remarry because she's so focused, like, any single mother would be. Like, I have to take care of my son, kind of feel bad that I have someone looking out for me, while at the same time I feel good about it. But anyway, so they need to have their happily ever after. And I was really excited to write one for Gordon because I kind of fell in love with him. I wasn't supposed to because he wasn't the Duke in Mending the Duke's Pride. But I'm like, okay, but he's a really good friend. But anyway, he's her Holly, her protector. She's his, I had to write it down because, like I said, deadline brain, sorry. She's his Ivy, his life eternal, and apart they flounder, but together they flourish. So
That's lovely.
that's like in a nutshell. Thanks.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's very cool. And The Holly and the Ivy is a really good carol too. So.
Oh, and if you have a chance, go on YouTube and look up the Medieval Babes version of The Holly and the Ivy. Oh my gosh.
There are medieval babes?
The Medieval Babes, yes. And my
How
daughter's
did I
like,
not know this?
I didn't know. My daughter's like, Ma, they've been around for 20 years. I'm like, how did I miss this? She's like, she didn't even want to go there. She's in her 30s, so she really didn't want to go there. But you have to listen to it. It's absolutely stunning with the vocals and the melodies.
Cool.
I'll have that link posted along with a recipe or two today. So
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. And then Emily, you're in the Star of Light collection, correct?
Yes, I'm in Star of Light, and I had to. I was kind of chuckling inwardly when Meara mentioned Mariah Carey's Christmas song, because that's the song that I'm using. But actually, my story is quite dark. So,
okay.
I was like, well, yeah. So, but I really struggled. I was really excited about the brief, and I Googled Christmas songs and thought there must be loads of Christmas songs. I must have looked through a list of about 400 Christmas songs, and I just could not see one which gave me inspiration. And then I woke up, sat bolt upright in the middle of the night with Mariah Carey singing in my head, and thought, right, okay, we'll go for that one. But my story is about one of the couples that are in my current series. They're having their happy ever after, but I never have my couples having proper happy ever afters. They still have to kind of work at things a little bit. It doesn't all get tied up in a neat package. So it's centered around this one couple, and the hero, he's found the love of his life, but he's got this horrific facial scar, and he's always suffered with issues of self-worth, because he was a bit of a rake as well, so he kind of feels like this scar was something that he deserved. So he struggles with his self-worth. He's okay, he marries the love of his life, but then his children start getting taunted because of his scar, so he's in a bit of a bad place. He's suffering from a bit of low self-esteem, suffering from a bit of depression. So yeah, nothing like Meara's this is quite dark. And then his wife says to him, right, we're all going to go to the Highlands with the rest of your family and spend Christmas there. So we have Christmas in the Highlands. So we get to meet some of the other characters as well. So I've got like his sister, who's like really old. She married really old, but by golly, is she making up for lost time, having some sort of interesting naughty shenanigans in some of the corridors. So there's a little bit of fun in there. But the whole theme is, how does he accept himself for what he is, and how does he come to terms with the fact that he doesn't think he can give his wife what she deserves, because he doesn't think he's worth that much. But the whole thing about, well, actually all I want for Christmas is you. I don't want riches, I don't want titles, I don't want beautiful men, I just want you because I love you, my darling. So that's the kind of overall theme of the story. And actually what CH was saying about some of the pagan rituals, I've got a children's party in there where it's kind of the equivalent of Santa Claus, but it's the Yule King. So he has a garland of holly, and his kind of opposite nemesis is the Oak King. And that's where the tradition of holly and mistletoe, it kind of commemorates this fight between these two kings.
Oh, wow.
So I've got a few posts about that actually in the party for Star of Light today, where I kind of talk a little bit about the tradition. So and it all kind of comes good at the end, and there's like a little boy, a lost little boy, and then the niece of the main character who also had a traumatic childhood, so spot the pattern, and they all kind of come together and make him realize that actually looks aren't important. It's love and family that counts. So that's my story.
That sounds lovely. It's a lot easier to talk about the holiday collections than it is to talk about the Halloween collection, because it's like everything just feels so nice.
Different feel.
Yeah. Ghosts.
Yeah. Not as many cookies at Halloween.
I know.
I'm really big on cookies.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the whole upcoming Christmas cookie thing. So we talked a little bit about historical traditions, and I know that you guys are going to post about that in the release party. Do you have your own traditions that you're looking forward to? Since we're a little bit before the holidays, we're just on the edge now. Are there things that you're anxious to be doing with your families, or things that you particularly look forward to? I know, CH, you said you have your grandsons a couple of days a week.
Yeah, I do. They love making cookies, and they actually helped me get back to making cookies last year. Last year was the hardest for us so far. This year's probably not going to be so easy either, but it used to be my stress relief. But after I lost my husband, it was like, it didn't seem so anymore. And they were like, Gra, which they call me Gra, and they're like, we really want to make cookies with you. I'm like, okay, what kind? And normally I'm like, yes, I want to make cookies. And they'd come over and we'd roll out the dough and sugar cookies, gingerbread men. Well, actually, ginger bears. I'm gonna post that, how they do those. But just the whole thing. And it's, for me, it's like the cookies and having the little ones around. I've already got all their presents upstairs.
No way.
I haven't wrapped it, but it's just the two of them. Our sons are like, they're in their 30s. They're like, Ma, you really can't, I really could use a car, but you're not going to ask you. I'm like, okay, I'll buy you socks.
It's interesting how those holiday traditions are both good and bad things when, because they're tied to feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
So they hit both edges.
Highs and lows.
Yep.
Yep.
So, Meara, do you have holiday traditions you're looking forward to?
No, we just, our tradition is primarily just family always getting together, and that's it. And I'm hoping that this year we'll be able to, since I have grandchildren now, hoping that we'll get down there to see them and be able to celebrate with them. That's the one thing this past couple of years has been very difficult with. So, not seeing and not doing these holidays and not doing these celebrations, but we'll get back to it. And one of the lovely things that my husband used to do with our kids as they were growing up was make pumpkin pies together. So, so we'd end up with about 20 pumpkin pies. Never finished that
I would
many.
very much like to be your friend. Big fan of the pumpkin pie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have to say that's probably one of the things we really, really do miss. That's one of the few traditions. Otherwise, we just get together. It's just, just the joy of being with family, and we actually all get along. We don't have.
That's so nice. That's so nice when you end up actually liking your family. And my kids are coming home, and it's like, oh, you guys are my favorite people. Even without, even if we weren't related, I'd still want to spend time with you. So it's always so nice.
Yeah. It's a nice thing. And that's another thing, though, in our family. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I have this Farthingale, the Farthingale heroines in this Farthingale family, which is very much like my family. Everybody loves each other. Everybody feels that it is very important for them to comment on everything that's going on, whether they're asked to or not. You know, and advice is always given, but always with love. And it's like, you cannot be angry with anybody. We don't allow that. So, I mean, we literally have first cousins, second cousins, even down to third cousins. And we all try to keep in touch and just, you know, get together and talk and do whatever. And, you know, we just, there's none of this, I'm not talking to this one again. We don't allow that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Emily, what about you? Do you have holiday traditions you're looking forward to?
Well, we used to have this lovely tradition when the children were small, which we kind of don't do anymore now. They're in their late teens. But what we have like traditional log fires, and we used to get them to write their Christmas lists for Santa Claus, and we'd light the fire, and we drop the list on the fire, so the letter.
Oh, that's how you send it to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of genius.
Yeah.
And then on Christmas Eve, Santa Claus doesn't like a glass of whiskey. Santa Claus likes a glass of gin, and he doesn't like mince pies. He likes large blocks of chocolate, but the reindeers do like the carrot. So that's what we'd leave for Santa Claus and possibly Mrs. Claus as well. And then we'd use like shake and vac, which is the powder that you sprinkle over carpets to make them smell fresh, and then you vacuum it up. We'd sprinkle that over in the shape of footprints going from the fireplace to the Christmas tree. So that it's a double benefit that actually when you vacuum it up, the house smells. That was one of the traditions. Although the one night we did that when the kids were, I think they were like 3 and 4 or something, and they snuck out of their rooms and they crawled into the main sitting room, which is actually upstairs in our house, and they opened all of the Christmas presents.
Oh my goodness.
But
Before anybody was awake?
Morning, Armageddon in the living room with just this sea of paper and all the presents distributed randomly. So we didn't know what was for who, and the kids were like happily playing with their toys, and it's like so yeah, not really a tradition, but I'll make our Christmas cake every year, and I tend to soak the fruit for weeks, which reminds me I really need to get going on that since we're almost halfway through November. And if you ask my family, they'll say that my tradition is burning the pigs in blankets when I cook. Although I didn't this year, and my older daughter was quite disappointed because I think she was expecting them to be burned.
It's tradition.
Yeah.
For kids, I mean, yeah.
A little char never hurt anybody.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I like them crunchy.
It helps your palate a little bit to have a little bit of that bitter taste,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I love the gin for Santa Claus thing. That's something that I think that would be a good habit all around. So.
Absolutely.
By the time he's done with your block, Emily, you won't be able to find his sled or the reindeer.
No presents for anybody else.
Yeah.
So, Meara, when you said about your carol was Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You," all I could think about was Love Actually, which is
love that movie.
favorite holiday
Yeah.
movie, and when the little girl points at
the
end, it's so good. So, do you guys have favorite holiday movies? Things that are that you love to watch over and over and over again?
Every year. Yep.
Share. Which
Oh.
so I can add to my list.
And it was it's because I have an aunt who's 7 years older than me. She was born my mom was 18 when she was born. So we really kind of like sisters. And she said, you have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it, because she's a huge Jimmy Stewart fan. So I watched it, and I was wrapped. I mean, I couldn't look away. And it's just, for me, you have to be careful what you wish for. So if you've never seen it, the thing that really gets me is, I don't know if you have Netflix, but there's a story on there. It's called 5 Came Back, and it's 5 Hollywood directors from the 30s and 40s who went over and filmed a lot of D-Day and a lot of the battles and things that happened.
Oh,
And
wow.
when they came back, they each made movies. And each one is so very different. One, I forget his name, filmed The Days of Our Lives, which was huge back then. And then It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Capra. And then there were other ones. But it was interesting how very different. Oh, and the one who did The Quiet Man, John Ford. I forget what movie he did right after that. But it each affected them so greatly. And this was how Frank Capra was affected. And once I saw them, and I was just like, holy, never mind. You get the picture. I'm going to try not to say questionable words, but yeah. Watch that. I watch White
I have
Christmas.
no bleep button. I need a bleep button whenever you're on with.
Or just like slap censored across their face. Yeah. But yeah, definitely that one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The Five Came Back idea, because you're thinking
Yeah.
it's like that's their art, and so when they're looking at something as horrific as war through a
Oh,
lens with their how they
And they-
express their art, and then
and
how
they
that would change you would
filmed
be.
in color, and they showed clips of it, and I was like, I think I'd really rather see the black and white, because it's just you're like right there.
Yeah, gives you a little bit of distance.
Yeah.
from things.
Check it out, Netflix.
Yeah.
Five
Yeah.
Came Back.
Oh, well, that sounds interesting. I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I couldn't look away. It was really good.
But it's amazing because it's true. It makes them, for each of those who are such creative men,
Yeah.
the directors at the time, and to be involved in that, and how it must have affected them so
And their lives.
personally, and to want to show the whole all the range of emotion and how good triumphant over evil. It's just
Yeah.
and to have these soldiers all come back. I know those stories are just as to the war to try to take over, to try to get back into their lives and go on, but they've just lived through this nightmare that was World War II. So it's very very, very moving. And I know these were a lot of those were my favorite movies also. And then I also love the Die Hard Christmas
Yes.
one.
The boys are here too.
And
I
then-
know what?
the Love Actually part that's
That's
my
a
yeah. And
Die
then Love
Hard.
Actually also, and what was it? Last Christmas was there was a new one with the dragon lady from Game of Thrones, and she's in this I think it's called Last Christmas. Was she plays she's like a Christmas elf, not like in a store. She's just this is like her life is basically going to crap, and this is the highlight of her year. But that was such a touching movie, and I just loved it, and I loved the slow way it just revealed her and her character and how she got through what actually had been a trauma for her and was able to move forward. And I don't want to give the movie away because it's just too much of it. I just found it extremely charming.
Is that the one that looked like a romantic comedy but wasn't?
Yeah.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I avoided it because I wasn't going to do the
but it was it was still very uplifting and romantic. But
then it's
You
worth
had to
it.
get there.
And try.
Yeah.
I can try. Emily, what about you? Do you have favorite holiday movies?
I had to. I watch Love Actually quite a lot.
Good one.
I have Amazon Prime, and it's normally up there. I don't think I load it up for Christmas, so I tend to watch it at least twice every year. It's just a really touching. I just love the way that it's always kind of little vignettes of all these different scenes, different characters, and how they're all how they all come together at the end. But I also love a film. I think is it called The Holiday? When Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz swap places.
That's a good
I've
one.
always wanted to live, because Kate Winslet lives in this adorable little cottage in Surrey, and I've always wanted to live there. And then someone said that cottage doesn't exist. It was built, the whole thing was a complete fake that they built up because they couldn't find it. I know.
So we can't live there.
It's if I can buy it, but I just love that whole wintry
Yeah.
scene. I just think it's amazing, and I think just Kate Winslet when she kind of arrives at this fantastic posh house in Los Angeles, the way she can completely do because she's just so excited by the whole thing. So I love that. I've always wanted to watch It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of those films that someone has said to me, "You've got to watch it. It's like the best Christmas film ever," and I've just never got round to watching it. So I'll have to look out for it. Another film I think is really good is Bad Santa, because I quite like he starts off really grumpy, and then I think he has a bit of a transformation as well. So I want to look that one up.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Holiday has one of the best lines. I think one of the best lines of all time, where he says to her, "You're living like the best friend. You're the leading lady in your life, but you're living it like you're the best friend." We all need to hear that like all the time. Like I could write that on my mirror in the morning. It's like you're the best friend, you're the leading lady of your own life, kind of thing. It's
I love that character. He was such a gentleman. It's really touching that.
And Jack Black is really good in that one too. His character has a really nice arc. Like there's a lot of growth.
People don't give him enough credit.
Yeah,
Jack Black.
That's a good one. But one of the interesting things about Love Actually, you talked a little bit about the vignettes and how they all come together. I think that ability to tell stories in short bursts and have them tied together is something that's a really it's a rare skill. It's being able to have a complete, satisfying story in those kind of small packages, and that's one of the things that the holiday collections do, because they're all those novellas that you get these bursts of stories that tie to existing series out. It's very cool. I'll have to look for I haven't never seen It's a Wonderful Life. I've seen enough of it to get every time I go the thing, but no, I got bored. But I did, and so I did. But I'll give it another try, and I'm gonna do Meara's too, because I deliberately turned away from that one last year, even though it was the trailer was really intriguing. So,
well, there's always Rudolph, and the Grinch. I mean, I remember watching those when they came on TV in 1960, God, whatever it was.
Yep,
and I still watch them.
Yes, Buddy the Elf. We used to do. Used to do Buddy the Elf with the boys all the time. That was also a huge amount of fun. And Polar Express. Yeah,
I've never seen that. I've never read the book. My neighbor was very big. It was a Caldecott winner, I think. The Polar Express. I was like, okay. It just, everybody, some things just hit you differently. Different. And like, there's always the song and dance, White Christmas. I love that.
Oh yeah, I love that one too.
And I cry every time they sing "We'll Follow the Old Men," when they have all the soldiers from World War II around him and the general. And I'm like, I need tissues. Yeah. And it's just, just such a heartwarming kind of thing.
I think that's the other cool thing about the holidays, regardless of whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or any of the other dozens of holidays that occur between November and January. I think one of the lovely parts of it is that putting us in touch with those feelings we wished we held on to,
all year,
throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah,
and it calls you the movies and the stories and the Christmas carols and the traditions and the food and everything. I think calls you to remember those feelings we wish we stayed better in touch with. Throughout the rest.
I still get a sense of magic. I don't know when winter approaches. There's lots of old houses in the village that I live in. So there's lots of log fires, so you can kind of smell the fires and smell the winter. And I get that kind of feelings that are deep inside of anticipation and excitement and magic. And I always get it in the run up to Christmas, like something absolutely wonderful is going to happen. Yeah, you're right. You kind of you want to latch onto that feeling and bottle it, and open up the bottle and sniff it when you're feeling a bit low in the middle of the year, because it's something about that feeling. It's quite euphoric.
We can make a candle.
Yes.
Yeah. How would you get the scent of snow though? Because you know how when you go outside and it's that first snow and it's like silence and you can almost hear the snow falling but the smell. If we could get that, I think you're onto something there, Emily.
Yeah, that would be. There is something about the silence, isn't it? When it's really thick,
Yeah.
thick blanket of snow. It's just
Yep.
everything is all muffled, and again, it's this kind of hush, magical things that are about to happen.
About to happen. Yeah.
Which fits with Meara's series very well, because you always seem to have the series where there's just like that edge of magic hanging around. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do. It's so funny because I even though like in the Book of Love series, there's that little touch of supposed magic in this mysterious book that's supposed to give away the secrets to finding true love. But I look at the romance. It's enchantment. It's not just people meeting each other. It's It's a moment of enchantment when you find that one person who's going to share your life with you and make your life happy. And so that's the way I look at these stories and try to write the stories. So that's why I can't write angst. You can't be enchanted and be angsty too. Although, some of my heroes will, they're tortured, they're scarred, they're whatever, but they're going to be happy.
It does make the happy ending sweeter if they have to go through the mill. A little bit of torture then means the happy ever after is a lot more pleasurable.
Yeah.
But I do love
somehow even as I like stomp on them and give them a heart, it's still they're still fun. It's still okay.
Uplifting.
For all your holiday stomping, we're here. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Thanks for helping to put me in the holiday mood. I'm anxiously anticipating Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else this year. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And if you're watching and you haven't been over to the release parties, you need to go right now, right this minute, and scoot over. We have two. We have Star of Wonder and Star of Light. All the authors have slots. They'll all be telling stories and sharing recipes and all kinds of wonderful holiday day things that you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you scoot on over there. You can find the links on the main Dragonblade page and also in the Dragonblade readers group. So if you don't have them already, you can get them there. I'll pop the links for the holiday collections below the video so you can grab those and keep reading. I think we had one reader who said that she starts the first Sunday of Advent and treats herself to a story every night. And I
thought that was great.
A lovely tradition, that to carve that little bit of time for yourself to have some little bit of joy at the end of every day, I think is a great thing. So ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.